Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
Chevron 1, encoded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry hammer, and let's set the tongues of war.
Chevron 2 encoded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of your women.
Song reflexes.
I'll also say that you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
Not for while you can, monkey boy.
Great Scott.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass!
I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
The day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.
I'm quickly scrambling to scratch the itches on my back before we go live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Saturday Night Drive-In, where we try to take a break from everything and enjoy movies. Although Jed's going to have a problem today.
Why?
He's not happy.
Did you not like Clueless?
I think we're going to have a very detailed discussion about it.
Let's, for the record, whatever happens this week, not my fault. It's our lovely guest's fault. Welcome back, Joe Rosie.
Hello. Great glad to be here. I feel like every time I come on, it's a rom-com that's an adaptation of another novel. So we've got a theme here.
Yes. This was the adaptation of Emma, right?
This is an adaptation of Emma.
Okay,
well,
so
at least the last one was good.
I can hear the bitterness. It's gonna be a fun one. It's a fun one, or I just to sit back and smile. But welcome, everybody. We're happy to have you here across all the chats on this lovely 83-degree day on a Saturday evening, where we're gonna talk 1995 Clueless. Now, for the record, I am allowed to say Alicia Silverstone looked hot because I was her age when this came out. Therefore, it's registered in my brain that way. I'm not a dirty old man looking at a teenager in a movie. Let's just remember that, all right? I'm allowed to say this. So
that's definitely helping your case, making all those caveats.
Hey, shut up, all right? You're married, I'm not, all right? Anyway, so we're here to talk 95 Clueless, which was, of course, as I said, chosen by our guest, special choice by guest Joe. Welcome back, Joe. How are you?
Fantastic. I actually watched Clueless on a flight home from Austin, Texas. And this is actually something I do fairly regularly. I don't know why, but I only fly Delta now, but I think American has it too. If you're ever bored and there's nothing you want to watch, there's always Clueless there. Or if you're having a bad day, there's always Clueless on. And I've watched it maybe once a month for the past, I don't know, a few years at the very least.
You say that because when it first came out, it's mid-90s, and during that period of time, during the summer, we would go down to Florida where my stepdad had a small hay and cattle ranch. And it's middle of nowhere, Dunellen, Florida, in Marion County. So there's no such thing as cable. So they had one of those giant satellite dishes installed in the yard where you'd punch in the code and it would turn to get a signal. So the summer of 1995, or I guess, yeah, summer of 1995, when Clueless hit cable, HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was always on that summer. And because I could get East Coast and West Coast, there was a period of time where I watched it at least 2 or 3 times a day because it was on.
Mhm.
And as I said,
Alicia Silverstone was hot.
And Alicia Silverstone was hot, and Brittany Murphy was hot, and Stacey Dash hot. And also, here's the other thing: my little teenage brain at the time broke watching it because around this time, also the Damon Wayans movie Mo Money came out, co-starring Stacey Dash, who's playing clearly a 20-something businesswoman. And then here comes Clueless, and she's in high school, and my young brain didn't understand that an actress could play below her age. I'm like, she was in Mo Money. Why is she in a high school movie? I don't get it. I don't understand. She's hot, but I don't. What's going on? Then, of course, I get on like, oh, she was playing younger, and now I feel stupid. But yeah. So I there was a period of time in '95 where I watched that movie several times a day because it was on, and it was enjoyable. Just it was there. It was on. Okay, fine. But Jed, how are you? You're not going to have that feeling, are you?
No, in fact, I think Clueless will be the type of movie, unlike Joe, that I will pick if I'm trying to have a bad day. That's kind of where I'm slotting it in for me. It was so dumb. And I obviously didn't grow up in the 90s, so 90s nostalgia may paint this very differently for different people.
Yeah.
So I can admit that I have maybe a bias in the wrong direction for this film, but yeah, I wasn't a fan of it. I think everyone did a great job doing what they were supposed to do, but I wasn't a fan of what they were supposed to do. A lot of my critiques are going to be subjective, so I realized that, there is an intrinsic quality to this film, with the exception of the plot. That's what I'm going to focus on as being an actual issue with it, and then just hate on everything that I personally didn't like.
Well, you think about this. One point, you made a great point. This is the epitome of a 90s movie. I mean, all the things they say in this, nobody talks like that anymore. Nobody behaves like that. It's not like in that way anymore. They still behave like that, but the aesthetic of the 90s with the flip phones and the this and the that and the music, and it really is a snapshot of the era, Joe. Am I right?
Yeah, I think that's half the enjoyment, is just kind of reliving my childhood and just being like, oh, this feels so comfortable, and like there's just something charming about it that this literally the definition of nostalgia. Just that just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy. And also my severe love of plaid. I don't know if you know this, Jed. I have a plaid motorcycle, a yellow plaid, because I love yellow plaid too. A yellow plaid motorcycle jacket with zippers and all that jazz. And I usually pair it with, I bought a matching pair of high top Converse in yellow plaid, and that's one of my favorite like outfits to wear to something special. So I'm not as fashionable as Alicia Silverstone in this movie, but I appreciate her style so much.
How do you like the 90s touchpad computer in her room?
That was wild.
Awesome. That is awesome.
Because back then, that's like, oh my God, that's 21st century technology in her closet. What's going on here? And now it's we all have touch phones.
Well, my question with that is I wasn't really sure when this was supposed to be taking place, because it kind of had a lot of period elements from all over the place, like advanced technology, like the hot boy in school being dressed like he's from the 50s. Was there big 50s romanticism in the 90s that I'm not aware of?
No, he was just gay.
Yeah.
Well, I know he was gay, but
anyway, now Jed, you have to admit though, hour 37 minutes. It there's not a lot of meandering in terms of its pacing. It kind of just goes from beginning to end. It's not bloated. Can we say that at least? It's not bloated.
I can't agree with that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It felt like it was 7 hours long, and
really,
the pacing ties into my overall plot issue with it. This film felt like 3 or 4 short films together. Rachel and I were talking about it, and we came to the idea that it would work a lot better as a TV show because all the different plots were small, little self-contained stories that, kind of connected to each other, but they had their beginning, their middle, and their resolution. Like the best example of that is near the beginning of the film when she sets up 2 of her teachers. That feels like an episode. Then another episode.
But that's very Emma. Like that's actually everything is tied together. So I actually agree with you in the sense that it is you've had these episodes, but it's very much like what it's emulating Emma, where she has all these people that she's matchmaking, and in the end it all ties together to her self-realization of she needs to change herself or have an introspective moment for herself. So
my problem is they didn't interact enough. Like a lot of the small stories didn't contribute, in my opinion, to her realization at the end that she, loved the dude that she loved and all that needed to make a change. It felt so disconnected. And I haven't read Emma, but it might have lended itself better to a TV show just from its source material as much as anything else. Because, I think a miniseries would have done this work more justice.
Well, you say
it just felt it was narrative whiplash for me. Like it was very jarring. It's like, oh, we're in a new episode. We're in a new episode. We're in a new episode, and the connective tissue just wasn't there. Like I can pinpoint exactly when the episodes change over, and it feels like, oh, fade to back to black. There should be credits right here.
Well, I mean, you say that, and after the show, a couple years later, on what was then the Paramount Network, and eventually CW, there was a Clueless TV show where the majority of the cast reprised their roles from the movie. Stacey Dash, Michael Faison, the chick who, the skinny redhead, they all reprised their roles for the TV show. Now it took place before these events, and it was kind of a retelling in the end, but it went on for several seasons, and that's what made Michael Faison a somewhat sitcom star, which got him into Scrubs later on. And so it did go, and I was going to save this for later, but now, right when Joe suggested we do this, when I was getting ready for some stuff, there's a sequel television show now in production with Alicia Silverstone.
Shut the front door.
No, I'll show you the proof. I've been saving it
for
this day. I've been saving it for this day.
Not going to watch it, but I think it might, be better from a plot perspective. It'll make more sense.
There you go. I am. We're taking a little break from normal procedure here, but it's relevant. There it is. Clueless sequel series. Alicia Silverstone returning in development at Peacock.
She aged well.
She is still very good looking.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. That kind of disproves those fat Alicia Silverstone videos that surfaced a couple years ago. No. So good. No. So current development, exact plot details are being kept under wraps. Aside from the fact the show will serve as a follow-up. So speaking to that, let's get into the movie so we can understand what that follow-up might be. All right, Joe, this was your choice this week. So why don't you set us up for the movie?
So basically, this is actually starts out with a little montage, which I think is funny. Little montage of all these very attractive teenage students. I think they're 16.
16, yeah.
Yeah, I actually took a screenshot when I was on the plane of her report card, by the way, when they actually show it for like 2 seconds. And some of the commentary on the report card is actually hilarious. What the teachers wrote. You don't see it when you're in passing, but I saw, I think she was in 10th grade. 10th grade is usually when you're in 16, right?
14, 15. It's between sophomore and junior year, somewhere around there. Yeah, it's
so about 16, 17, I'd say.
Yeah, but she's in 10th grade. And they are, the setting is a very rich, upscale neighborhood high school. She starts out at home talking about how she is just a normal girl.
Yeah.
But really, she's not. She's like, I wake up, I brush my teeth, and I pick out my outfit. And she's got this crazy closet. I think fashion's actually some of the reasons why girls love this. I love the fashion in this movie. It's still iconic. There's been so many callbacks to Clueless and those iconic the plaid outfit with the short skirt. Iggy, what's the name? Iggy Azalea. Not that I listen to her music, but Iggy Azalea actually did a music video that actually had Iggy in the yellow outfit, and she matched it exactly. And she had a character playing Amber, and they were in the debate scene, and that was the majority of her music video.
And here's the thing, though. You bring up a point as a snapshot, at least in this setting. With the exception of Amber at times, none of the girls look like sluts. They're dressed appropriately, which they're not parading around essentially, as we put it today, begging for it. They look classy. And it's appreciative, and it shows you it's a period of time where costume design in this they could do it right, and you don't get that these days. Everything's just everybody looks like a slut.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they also have a pretty good moral high ground. Even this was even a thing, a conversation they had with a new girl, Ty. They actually had this conversation about, it's not okay to get high all the time. There's quite a big difference between smoking a doobie at a party and being lit all the time. So there's definitely a very adult, I don't know if you felt this way, but there's a very adult level of conversation and a high intelligence to how they talk. Even though they're completely
idiot. They're all idiots.
They're all idiots, but the way they speak is actually really interesting. And some of the references they make are very, very intelligent. Like, I don't know if you catch all these, Adam, but her knowledge of art is pretty high. Like, she's taking pictures of her girlfriend holding a flower, and she's like, oh, it's Ty. She just looks like one of the Botticelli chicks. I'm like, she actually knows art. That is a real reference to classic Botticelli portraits that he would do.
Yeah, Cher's not an idiot. She's just a little detached from reality at times, is the thing. I would say Dion is more of an idiot. And Ty, she is grounded, but then she became full of herself. The monster that Cher created. And the men are different varyings of male stereotypes of the time. You had Travis the stoner. You had Michael Faison's character. He is Murray. Murray, your hip hop boyfriend. And then, of course, you had God, what was that guy's name? Get the cast. Who played the dude who left her on the street? I forget his name suddenly. The actor.
Oh gosh.
Shit. I don't remember his name. Point is. He's your typical Eldon. Eldon. Typical popular boy, looks really cool on the outside, deep down inside, he's an asshole. And then you had Paul Rudd's Josh, your down-to-earth college student who leans a little toward the hippie, but is not so hippie that he's insufferable. And I want to bring this up now. You look at this guy, this is actually a pretty stacked cast who the majority of them go on to successful television and movie careers all around. I mean, Alicia Silverstone. She hasn't been in a lot lately, but she has her spot in pop culture. Paul Rudd. This is the first time I ever saw Paul Rudd in anything. I don't even know if it's his first thing, but Paul Rudd is now on top of the freaking world. And he's also like the poster guy of, wow, wish I look like that when I'm 50. That kind of shit. Brittany Murphy, burned bright, and then unfortunately
passed away.
I'd
say she's probably one of the ones that had besides Paul Rudd, strongest careers right off,
And yeah, I mean, after this, she exploded. After this, she just skyrocketed it and burned a little too bright. I said Donald Faison, successful sitcom career with Scrubs and beyond that, still appears in shows here and there. Then you had Stacey Dash, transition to politics, commentary, stuff like that. Breckin Myers, another guy transitions to other comedy stuff, has a role, and everybody else sort of did stuff. And I mean, the guy who played Cher's dad, career as generally a shitbag in movies, shitbag character most of the time. But so really a packed cast, and like Jed said, everybody performs well. There's not a bad performance in the movie. But Jed, they are all insufferable.
Oh yeah, there's not a single likable person in this. I don't care who wins. Like, it could have ended with a certain type of Minecraft violence at the school with no survivors, and I would have just gone, wow, something actually happened. Because that's the thing. I just don't get the point of this movie beyond the aesthetic of it. The aesthetic is very strong. The aesthetic is very strong, and I get, like you said, Joe, why women would absolutely love it. But it's the romance is so thin. Most of the scenes are disconnected that it was halfway through by the time I realized what they were trying to go for. Of course, I knew immediately Paul Rudd was going to be the main romantic interest, and what was going on.
Only because you know who Paul Rudd is now.
So I didn't even watch the trailer, so I didn't know what his role was going to be or
no.
like
I mean,
that.
only because
well, it was early in his career, so I didn't
Eh.
automatically assume just because he became big later that one of his earliest roles he was a starring character.
You don't see
but
this
just
as a
with the
coming
framing.
of age story for Cher, or even for Ty. Like basically the transition of these characters as they grow into, you know, a more mature, a more, you know, once they have that introspection of who they truly are. Even that kind of coming of age story for young women.
I don't see any of them actually being more mature at the end. I really don't see them.
No, I disagree with that. I think that Cher has a legitimate character arc in this, being superficial about everything. I mean, because there is a point where Josh criticizes her for getting the teachers together. Says, "Oh, I'm sure that it didn't benefit you at all, did it?" Well, yes, she did the whole thing to benefit herself. Everything she did, even when they bring in Ty, it's not because she wants to be friends with Ty, it's because she feels good about herself for helping the new kid. And then after everything to break down, where Ty becomes a monster, it's then she hits the rock bottom where everybody's turning on her for reasons she doesn't quite understand. And it's not so much they're turning on her, but just because she's not the it girl. And she wasn't trying to be the it girl. I'm going to say that. But she kind of realizes there's more to just doing things for myself, to the point where she says, I want to help for the disaster relief. And it really is doing that to better herself. So I think there is a legitimate character arc for that.
It's still designed to make her feel better. That's not a bad thing, but I wouldn't necessarily say her volunteering is completely selfless, or even much more selfless than she was doing her previous good deeds.
It's not completely selfless, because then that would be a break of character completely, because Cher will still be slightly selfish. That's who she is.
I don't see it as being a very big change. So okay, I will admit that her
form of volunteering is selfish on some level.
On some level, absolutely. Not entirely so. Like, you have to work very hard for it not to be. I mean, all the rich people, they want their donations to be very public knowledge so they can brag about it. A lot of people tell their friends and family when they're volunteering. It doesn't have to be inherently, but most of the time you're getting something out of it, even if it's just, I feel good about myself. And that's not a bad thing. Having selfish motivations and getting selfish benefits from good deeds isn't a bad thing, but you're usually getting something selfish out of it. That's not a bad thing, as long as you're, still doing it for other reasons too.
Okay.
I also think she grows, even if you look at how she views Travis. Travis, she kind of blew him off initially as he's just an idiot. That's not a good choice for you, and redirected Ty's affections towards Elton, even though you originally saw that first connection between Ty and Travis. Towards the end, she starts realizing, once she has that coming of age, now she understands, fuck, I don't do anything. Josh made her feel like she doesn't do anything for non-selfish reasons. And she started, that was post Ty becoming a monster. She started kind of seeing things a little bit differently, kind of opening up her mind a little bit. And now all of a sudden, I know Travis was also doing the 12-step program, so he was also no longer a stoner, but she now started viewing him as a person instead of just kind of this shallow, superficial social status of the only eligible men that you can date are these boys.
And two things. One, that is an excellent point, because I was going to bring that up, that at that point in the movie, Cher she stopped seeing everything as social status. It's more about, there's nothing wrong with caring for somebody, because that comes from Ty becoming a monster and realizing, oh my God, this sweet girl who just wanted to hang out with us is now the worst version of me. Because that's what Ty becomes, the worst version of Cher. Someone who is completely superficial, cares only about status, cares only about the next boy she can get the attention of. And that is a clear sign of Cher evolving. Oh, go back to where Ty used to be, where she thought Travis was just a cool dude who was nice to her for no reason other than he thought she was cute, and they hit it off right away. One other thing, though, and I don't think I'm ashamed to admit this, and it took me years. And actually, honestly, I didn't know it till I watched it the other day. I haven't seen this movie in easily 20 years. It's been a long time. But because, like I said earlier, I watched it so many times, it was literally tattooed on my brain. Every scene is exactly how I remembered it. But when Travis shows up at disaster relief and is donating stuff, when I was a kid, I was a good boy. I had no idea that was a bong.
What do you think it was?
Nothing. I didn't even know. I was like, what is I don't. So I'm sitting there watching it a couple days. I'm like, that's a bong. Oh.
Kitchenware? That's where I kept it.
Yeah, and yeah, it dawned on me, wow, I really was a good kid.
Did you understand, at least when you were a child, that he was a stoner?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No problem understanding that. It's like clear stoner. I mean, I wasn't sheltered. I just didn't, I never saw a bong in that period of time. So I'm like, I always thought, what the hell is that thing? And then the other day, yeah, I'm going to have to take my lumps for that this Saturday. I'm going to have to admit that one.
I don't know if I did the first time. So the problem is I've watched this movie so many times through my life that I don't remember the first watching of it at all. When I was actually like when I was.
Well, I went to the theater for this. I did go see it in the theater when it came out. I admit that.
I don't think I did. I think this was definitely a HBO kind of thing, or a VHS.
Yeah.
I definitely knew it was a bong the first time I watched it.
Yeah. Thanks, kid. Charlie. Anyway, but let's go back to the beginning. And Jed, you are right. The movie is broken up into very clearly defined segments, and I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing, because it allows you to, and I admit it's not the deepest of anything, but it allows you to get to know each of these characters very quickly, where you understand Cher right away. You understand Dion right away. You understand the dynamic of Dion and Murray. You understand the dynamic of Cher's world, where, let's be honest, the rules don't necessarily apply to her. She gets away. I mean, there is no way in hell you're arguing up a C- to an A-. That ain't happening. That's not happening. But I do appreciate it. Her father, I like that her father thinks that that's as good as if you really got that grade. I like that. I think
the line is, Cher, I couldn't have been more proud of you than if this was based on actual grades.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Well, for debate, you can actually make the argument that is good if she was able to argue her way into a higher grade. That's the one class I can see the argument for that. That might be equivalent to a real grade.
But it sets the scene, and for me, in terms of, because I'm with Joe on this. I like this movie as dumb fun. I'm perfectly okay with it. Maybe because, as you said, it's nostalgia based. All right, listen, I will make you like these old movies one day. All right, I'm going to keep throwing them at you occasionally. Until
I like a lot of the old movies that we watch.
You hated Golden Child and Legend, you bastard.
Yeah, so that's 2 out of the hundreds that we've done. I've got a good track record with old movies.
You don't understand. They're glorious. Anyway, but it does a good job of laying on groundwork, and it's escapism though. You understand this isn't real. Nobody's walking around and this is still the 90s. It's not safe out there. She's walking around undefended a lot in LA, of all places. That ain't happening either. But at the same time, it gets a little unbelievable that when Christian finally shows up, that she doesn't realize he's gay right off the bat. I mean,
he was so gay.
It's just there. It's just there.
I love watching it again after so many. I think it was the little things you pick up after watching it so many times, like the scene where they're at this college party.
He's talking to the bartender.
He's talking about the bartender about being gay. Because some girl comes up and puts her hand on his shoulder, and he goes to the bartender, "What am I supposed to do with that?"
Yeah.
And she's just like, "Look, he's turning every girl down. He's perfect man." It's like, no, he's gay.
Honey, he's very gay. Real quick, on Jed's side,
we've got a member message from Biggles Mets for 23 months saying, "I saw this movie 100 times before I ever knew what it was about."
What did you think it was about, Biggles?
That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me.
But it's very apparent that he's gay. And then, because even when I was a kid, it's like, yeah, this dude's gay. Look at, he's got the 50s chic going on. He's got the mini pompadour going on. He's saying, "Hey, Duchess." It's like, oh, he's using phrases that no straight dude is ever going to mention. And we go through the whole thing, and when he comes over to the house, he wants to look at the art. He wants to talk about stuff. He wants to watch Tony Curtis movies, and he's just talking about how great Tony Curtis looks in Ben-Hur.
And Spartacus.
Oh, with Spartacus. Sorry, with Spartacus.
Yeah.
Why did I say Ben-Hur? I'm having a bad day. Spartacus. it's all there, and then she makes a move, and he realizes, oh shit, she doesn't have a clue. She is clueless, and he gets the hell out of there. And then we're at the turning point for Act 2 to Act 3, where
with that, I do want to say the one time I laughed in this film watching it was when I can't remember the character's name. Cher's best friend's boyfriend laughed his head off when she said she nearly got laid.
That's where I was going to. The driving lesson, and Murray's like and this is the first time I heard the word pillow biter in this movie. Like, I learned a new phrase when I was a teenager.
I didn't know what those, like, he called him a cake boy. I don't know what a cake boy is. Like, I was like, he just said a bunch of idioms for gay, and I'm like, I don't know what any of those were.
See, Friend of Dorothy, Light in the Loafers. There's some great ones.
So I understood those back in the day because, again, teenage boys in the 90s, we were throwing all kinds of what are considered gamer words now. Back then, no pauses whatsoever. So that's funny as hell, and it's just great that
was great.
And it shows you none of the girls picked up on it. None of them. They all thought he's hot, he's this and that. And as soon as a male comes into the picture, oh yeah, he's gay. He's gay. But then
he calls them, hold on, I pulled it up. A disco dancing, Oscar Wilde reading, Streisand, Tick and Hold, and Friend of Dorothy.
Where did they get pillow biter from? I guess
there's no pillow biter.
Okay, I got that wrong.
He calls him, he's a cake boy, and then he's just the which I don't understand that phrase. So
well, let me think of a good way to put it.
He likes his icing.
He likes to get it in the cake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna do like what's it called? Urban Dictionary.
Urban Dictionary. That might not be a good idea.
Careful.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Thanks, Biggles. We figured that one out.
It's actually not that bad. Okay, the definition of cake boy, it comes from actually being like a twink or effeminate. A cake boy is someone light and fluffy, effeminate, not where it's at, not meaty in the slightest sense of the word. Opposite of cake boy being a meat boy. Okay, so that's
what does it say that? What does it say that our thoughts immediately went to a sexual act getting in the cake? What's wrong with us?
Chat's doing the same thing. It's not just us.
Basically, what we would call a twink nowadays. Yeah, because cake equals ass. I mean, we literally have a song called "Cake by the Ocean" about from DNCE, which is about. I had no idea was that it was about. I guess getting a sexual act on the beach. So
essentially, we're all broken. Essentially,
yep.
That our minds go there instantly. The product of the times.
Yep.
But here's the thing, though. I'm gonna bring this now to a little bit more of a serious conversation of current pop culture. In this day and now, whenever a gay character is introduced in any current day medium, it's always about him being gay. Everything is about gay. Christian is a gay character, in my opinion. This movie is treated with respect. Mm-hmm. It's not, oh, you can see yourself in him. No, he's respect. And he may be gay, but it's just because he likes dudes or he likes things that are fancy to look nice.
Is that why he's gay? Because he likes men?
No. I'm doing about the presentation here, where Cher at one point says Christian wants everything to be beautiful, to be nice. But then they managed to do a good balance with, like, in that moment where those dudes hang tie off the edge of the railing. Christian comes up, very masculine move right there, where he stands up for it, gets in between them. And there's nothing, he may be gay, but there's nothing effeminate about him. I mean, Jed, everything about Shooty Gatwa is effeminate.
Oh my God. Yeah, there's no testosterone in that man's body.
But Christian doesn't come off as effeminate. So there's a difference. Back then, a gay character could be presented in a respectful way where we're not looking to make fun of him as gay, but we get Shooty Gatwa all day long here, and all we want to do is make fun of him. And he's a gay black man who walks around in tight clothes and goes, girl. That's what we do.
There would probably have been, if it came out today, a subplot about Christian getting bullied for being gay or something like that. And nobody cared. Like, Murray or whatever you said his name was, he just laughed about it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't get ostracized. He's not, you know,
Point.
they don't make a big deal about it. He's actually, you know, part of the popular kids group, and it's not a topic, especially after once she realizes it, it's a non-factor. Like, I think the only call back to him being gay at that point is, you know, he's one of her favorite shopping partners, which is pretty much the only like real like, okay, yeah, he's gay.
It's a stereotype thing, but it's fine. It's fine. It's still, it was a part of the 90s meme, which makes it acceptable. But today it would have been like, oh my God, my boyfriend is this. They would have made it gay sexual, or they would have made it effeminate if it was done today. And
he would have been hung off the balcony and one of the girls had to come save him.
Yes, you are probably right. And that's a difference. And that talks about today. In the 90s, they still knew how to make these movies with respect to characters, respect to audience. They didn't treat us like idiots. Today, it's all about modernization. And that jumped out at me in this watching, because like I said, I haven't watched this for like at least 20 years. And I thought, wow, I don't hate Christian as a character. But if I watch this now, somebody with how he operates, they would say, oh, you're going to hate him because he's gay. No, Christian's a good character. He's presented well with respect and interacts normally with the characters in the movie. He doesn't act like Shooty got, well, come on, girl. You're going to be so nice.
Like you said, it's not the central aspect of his personality. Like, he would have told everyone as soon as he walked in, hey, I'm gay, my pronouns are this, or something like that. Like, it would have been, the joke wouldn't have been able to exist about her trying to date him, because it'd be so much part of his personality that she'd know immediately.
Yep. And
no subtlety.
No subtlety. And that's why it's still good character work. And I appreciate it. All right. Let's see, where else we're going to go. We've mentioned it. Let's talk about Cher and Ty. And the fascinating thing of how somebody gives into being Ty, gives into the zeitgeist of being popular. It's really fascinating, and Brittany Murphy does an excellent job, in my opinion. Which, although I do have one complaint, but first, Joe, how as Ty as a character, do you feel that overall she is a good representation of coming in as yourself, but then losing yourself and finding yourself again as a character?
Absolutely, I think that's a great. The timeline is a little bit unrealistic to me because. Especially I was so like, I feel so bad, Cher, when they meet up at Travis's skating thing, that there was, maybe it happened off screen where something happened to make her feel bad or make her have a realization that she was a jerk. Maybe it was just saying to her, you're a virgin who can't drive, and seeing Cher's pain in her face that made her change, or, oh shit, I'm a terrible person. But to me, that seemed a little bit of a fast transition back to, let me come back to my roots. Also, her giving up on Josh seems very like, where did that go? Like, now she's back to, her true self, which was liking Travis, being true to herself. So I feel like there was something missing for me for Ty's coming back to the realization of she was wrong.
I agree with you completely. That's exactly where I was going to go with this. There's a missing part. I feel like at an hour, 37 minutes, there might have been 10 or 15 minutes cut that had a transition of Ty having her come to Jesus moment of, I have become not myself. And there is something missing there. And it's where, wow, wait, how did you just suddenly come back and be okay with Cher after the horrible things you said? There was no moment of outside. I mean, granted, we don't have a moment in this movie where Cher isn't in the scene. Alicia Silverstone is literally in every scene of this movie, I think, just about.
Well, she's the narrator. That's something we failed to mention. That's basically, she's narrating the entire, happening. So this is all from Cher's perspective.
Yeah. So we're never not outside of Cher. So I think it's fair to say that we not necessarily would have seen it, but I would have liked some sort of reference to it, that Ty had something happen that made her change her mind, because you're exactly right. Her just saying, I'm sorry, but why are you sorry? What did you get to this point of being sorry? I mean, Jed, I will probably agree with you. You're going to say that that's where the script is falling apart here. We're missing pieces of some of these character growth and development moments.
I think Oh,
sorry, go ahead. Sarah. I was going to say, and to add to that, there's also something that must have happened because she also went from looking like an it girl to looking closer, like somewhere in the middle, to closer to what she truly was. Like her hair was back in these little braids. She was wearing a more modest, like not modest, but more down to earth outfit, which was like, what happened to Ty?
Something happened. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I 100% agree. I don't think any side characters really developed whatsoever. Cher, I can get the argument that you guys were going with before, that she had a coming of age to a certain extent. I don't think it's that far, but I do agree that she does show progress from the beginning and the end of the movie. I don't think anyone else really does because we don't get time to develop them as they were. Yes, they specifically said that there was a week between the, oh, you're just a virgin who can't drive, and the let's be friends again. That's not a whole lot of time. There's clearly something happening there, but I would have liked to see a starting point as well so that her transition could have been more stark. Because when we're first introduced to Ty, like a quarter way into the movie, like it's a decent chunk into the movie before she's introduced.
End of second act. It's end of first act.
Yeah. When she gets introduced, yeah, we see what she's wearing, and that can infer a decent amount about the character. But in most interactions until her, near-death experience, she just kind of goes along with everyone. She's always just, hey, going along, trying to pull towards everyone, trying to please everyone. And we don't get really a sense of who she is or what she wants to do. So I would have liked to seen her interact with someone besides Cher before Cher really got her hooks into her, so that we can see really the pure or girl, or however they wanted to portray her, how she was before, so that when she turns into the uber bitch, there's a starker contrast between I just do whatever you want, anyone who's talking to me right now, you are my world, to I'm an uber bitch. Like we need to know where she started to care about where she ended up. She's just kind of whatever she's told to be in that instant. And I don't think that is very helpful in creating a character arc.
That's fair.
And I feel like that's the same for everyone else. Like Paul Rudd, I do like him as an actor. I found him incredibly boring in this movie. He's got the same facial expression in every scene.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah, Josh doesn't get a lot to work with in this. He's there to be paired with Cher. That's it. And clearly her father is happy that he's pushing them together like this. And it's the easy romance. And here's the privilege, or I guess the what's the word I want? Not privilege, damn it. I'm dying here. Save me.
Describe what you're trying to say.
The experience, I want to say, with you and I have watched this so many times. The benefit of having seen this so many times. When we rewatch these scenes with Cher and Josh interacting, we see it. We see the connection. We see the growth. And it's the benefit of the rewatch. It's all there the whole time. Because they do it in the flashback montage moment where she has her realization and they show all the stuff again. We saw it, and that's why I say rewatching this movie, it has its I'll use the word again. I hate to say it again. Benefits. I can't think of a better word right now. My brain is paused. It's dying.
Advantage.
Advantage. There you go. Thank you, Joe. Advantage. The advantage of watching this over and over again is it gets easier because you see the cool moments that we're leading up to. So it's a pleasant watch. At least it is for me. It always was that. That was the thing I always focused on. I remember in my old watches as a kid where the Cher and Josh moments, oh, there it is. Oh, the touching, the this and that, the flirting.
That was actually the introduction scene between them. He's, in the kitchen and he's holding the fridge door open and she's like, is your shirt a callback to this crispy Seattle weather? Or are you just trying to, you're standing in front of the fridge? I don't know what she says. But he turns and like in retrospect, I'm like, what is he even trying to do? He kind of like gropes her a little bit and was like,
goes for the midriff. Just like,
yeah.
Woo,
yeah.
woo.
I'm like, now I saw it, I'm like, on the rewatch.
That's a bad touch. That's a bad touch.
Like you're sort of kind of siblings. Like, is that okay?
And let's remember, I'm going to say this now. We might as well mention it. He's in college. He's at least
he's a freshman.
He's a freshman. Okay, so he's a freshman. I thought he was a sophomore. Okay.
No, they literally say something like freshman psych or something, and he's like, I'm not taking psych.
Okay, so he's 18, maybe 19. Okay, so it's not 18, 19 dating the 16-year-old girl. Not as sketchy.
2 to 3 years apart in the 90s.
Yeah, it's not as sketchy, but she still is in high school and
she's in 10th grade though. Like mentally, like that's a huge jump.
Yeah.
To me, like the age, like it's just I don't have an issue with age gaps in general, but like after a certain age, I think it gets easier.
After,
But, like,
definitely, yeah. But it's just at that moment when it's that small window of between like 16 and 20. That's where it's just like,
It's kind of a weird relationship between the age and the step siblings part.
Hey.
Like it feels like it was made for the hub.
There was no hub yet. All right, there was no hub yet.
It was made for Playboy. I don't know.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm saying simply that I always missed it. I thought he was a sophomore at least. Always that I missed the freshman part all these years. I've always missed that. But there's no problem with the age gap. It's just that one little window right there is once you're past 18, everybody's legal. I'm not going to question anything. But it's that the 16 is the rough part of that. But if he's 18, it's not so bad. I thought he was like 20 for some reason. I always thought he was like 20 for some reason.
I think it's because the actors are probably that age. So like, he doesn't
actually,
look 18.
He looks a lot older than.
I think Alicia Silverstone was actually 16, 17 when this was made. I'm pretty sure.
Let me look up how old she is.
I think she was of age.
Date of birth.
Yeah, I think she was of age. She was actual age appropriate for this one. Because remember, it only been a couple of years since the movie where she premiered, where she was the obsessive kid with the Crush. It only been a couple of years with the Crush, and I think she was 14 when she made the Crush.
That was 14.
I think she was 14 when she did.
I also love that movie, by the way.
That movie freaked. Well, that movie was freaked me out for some reason. I guess the obsessive, crazy, Basic Instinct type stuff. All right, Legata says she was 18.
19. She was 19.
Okay.
1976.
Okay. All right. Little older than me. Okay. So I don't feel that bad. If she was 18, 19, I don't feel that bad anymore. But as a gooner. Anyway, moving on. Saving my dignity. But
you have any?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. I keep it in the box in the closet. Anyway, there's the relationship is well laid out. Back to my original point before we sidetrack there. The relationship is laid out in a nice way. And on the advantage of a rewatch, the benefit of rewatch, you see it, and it's a pleasant thing to watch on the rewatches. And even though Josh doesn't have much to do, I would say Josh is the consistency of the movie. He has reached his growth as a person character. He's a genuine nice guy. Is he a bit of a hippie? I want to go into environmental law. Just shut up. Don't even talk about that. But he is a decent dude. He does good things instinctually, like when he hangs out with Ty at the party there. She's struggling to do that, helps her out. Even though he's getting some, he goes to pick up Cher when she's stuck in the valley. He does the right thing, and he's a consistency. And it's what he is a North Star, a guiding light for Cher. And because when she realizes I'm in love with him, it's that shock to her system. I can't do everything that I did with Christian when I thought he was straight. Can't do the hair flips. Can't wear the pretty clothes. I'm not going to eat chocolate sexually and all that shit. No, because now she feels something real, and she knows that he is a real person. It's not just some silly thing. This is a really good, solid guy who cares about her. Even at that point, she doesn't know he cares about her like that, but he does care about her, wants her to be safe and sound and not be in trouble. And so that's why I agree. He doesn't get out of development, but he is a stable influence, and that's his purpose, I think. He doesn't need it because that's his purpose in the movie. So
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. He is there for her growth.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't need to grow at all.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Jed, I'm going to give you a chance now. Complain away. Choose something that bugs you.
I mean, I got most of my complaints, and my biggest problem is the plot, just it feeling meandering, disconnected storylines. I do agree that all the actors did what they were supposed to. They created this world in a way that I understood what the rules were, how everything fit together, how all the relationships were set up, and everything like that. From that perspective, it's a decent movie. It's accomplishing what it wants to, but the plot, the character development, it's I found it nonsensical for the most part, but there is one thing that I want to talk about. I forgot there was another laugh I had in the film, and it's something I wanted to mention. I laughed so hard when it happened. We actually had to pause it because I was laughing so hard.
Oh,
it was in one of the scenes with Paul Rudd where he's out by the pool reading his book, and it's the Nietzsche book.
Reading Nietzsche.
And I don't know if anyone else noticed this or if it's just me. It's uncommon to put authors' names on a back cover of a book really big. And when I was looking at it, it looks like they clearly cut out Friedrich Nietzsche's name and glued it to the back cover so you would see it. And it is the most
You know, you're
stupid-
right.
I actually have an image of it pulled up if you guys want to see this.
That's hilarious.
It's clearly like the writer or the directors. They wanted people to know he's doing Nietzsche, but with the
Oh, I
framing
got
of the
to
scene,
see it.
it's clearly. I was dying. It's clearly not the same cover. That I don't know if they didn't want to show the front of the book for some reason, or if it was a little too subtle with how his name.
It's just this picture.
Yeah,
So it's not enough.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, listen,
they
I mean, I know Nietzsche, but I couldn't pick Nietzsche out of a lineup if you paid me.
Well,
But
it was just the stereotype. He was that, that
pseudo-intellectual college student.
Yeah.
And
This is
the
the
girl
bad
he was
music.
with, with when he picked up Cher, she was definitely pseudo-intellectual. I've met people like that. I can't stand people like that.
She's definitely a Berkeleyite. I'll say that very easily. But yeah, that's hysterical. I've never stared at that scene close enough.
I was dying.
That is
I was theorizing ways that it actually was in the story and not just some prop issue. And the idea is like, oh, he's not actually reading Nietzsche. He's reading something else, but he wants people to think he's really smart. So he did it himself or shit like that. It's the most fun I had in the movie was seeing this.
You know, I just realized after she makes fun of his goatee, he shaves it off immediately.
Yeah.
This is the only scene I think it's in.
Yeah, he gets rid of the goatee immediately. I just realized that. Anyway, all right. The soundtrack is a 90s soundtrack. That's what it is. Popular songs of the time, whether they were a little retro or not, and it's nothing to write home about it. It's the nostalgia of it. If you like it, then it's great. I wouldn't be caught dead with those songs on my playlist.
You don't have any nostalgia for ska? I went through a ska phase.
Oh no, I never did do the ska. I knew people who did the ska. I never did the ska. I was a borderline metalhead.
Oh my god!
Back then, a lot of Aerosmith, and then getting into Metallica and that kind of stuff. So that was me. I wasn't. I'll be honest. Music wise, I was not very interesting music wise as a teenager. I just wasn't. So. Anyway, okay. Is there anything else anybody wants to bring up? Because I feel like we didn't actually talk about the major plot points. We just kind of danced around.
Because they don't exist.
They do exist. It's
There's
just
no
a flow.
plot.
The plot is finding love, Jed.
It's a rom-com and a coming-of-age story. That's it.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And basically, that's Emma. It's Emma is a matchmaker, and she goes around trying to matchmake people and doing a really crappy job of it. And then she ends up, having to realize, oh, I need love myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Emma.
Yeah,
it's not too deep. It's a rom-com as well in a book.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And listen, the movie is the definition of dumb fun. You don't have to think very hard. Enjoy the overtop performances. Enjoy the pretty people. Enjoy the crazy circumstances. I mean, they should have been dead on that freeway.
Oh, yeah.
Dion was no way, shape, or form capable of surviving an LA freeway. Nuh-uh. They should be dead. But they got through it in hilarious manner. And it's meant to push forward that, oh, now they're going to have sex. Life-changing moment. They're going to have sex. No more dancing around it. Anyway, all right, then let's.
I did have a 90s era question I had about the film. This isn't related to its quality or anything, but near the beginning of the film, Cher said both her and her friend Dion are named after singers who used to be famous and now are just doing infomercials. Obviously, I got Cher, but Rachel and I were debating on whether or not Dion was supposed to be Celine Dion because
Dionne Warwick.
I don't know who that is.
She's up late at night telling you about fortune telling. Fortune telling. You only know if you're up late in the 90s with commercial television. Here comes Dionne Warwick telling you we have psychics. They're going to read and tell you your future. Don't worry. It'll be all right. 900 get a psychic. I mean, that's that shit back then. That you had to be there to get that joke. That there are some jokes that do not carry over. We can admit that. Some of them do not carry over. And also the language. Nobody says as if anymore. All kinds of, it's completely a moment of that. But that was meant, it was Dionne Warwick, not Celine Dion, because Dionne Warwick was black. And
what did you think about Cher's political speech? Which I think that was one more thing I wanted to mention was the fact that they, unlike today, there was politics in the movie. There was basically talking about immigration, the Haitians, as Cher calls them.
I did laugh at that. I laughed at that now just because.
That might be my favorite scene. Her debate with Amber about the Haitians, and it does not say RSVP on the Statue of Liberty. If we could just somehow get back into the kitchen, rearrange some things, and we can certainly party with the Haitians. That's probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie, just because it's just so dumb and so Valley Girl, but at the same time, I appreciate so much how they could have been like, they could have put, like, if it was made today, you know, there would have been so much wokeness and so much pushing about this ideology. They basically it just exists as something we're debating. That and the environmental stuff that the teacher talks about sometimes, but it doesn't get heavy-handed at all. It's just in there, but in passing.
Back then, it was called global warming, and that was the messaging they were pushing hard constantly over that. Now, I do kind of wish now when she's making the Haitians that somehow a dog or a cat would have been mentioned. I would have laughed.
That would have been great.
It would have been great.
But I do agree. I think they handled that scene very well, especially because of her, clueless behavior and the way that she approaches things like Classic Blonde. You can 100% take the argument that she's an idiot and doesn't know what she's talking about, or you could agree with what she's saying. The movie frames in such a way that it's not taking a stance on what she's saying. It could go either way, and I think that's how you have to do it.
At one point when after she has a realization she's in love with Josh, he's watching CNN, they're talking about Bosnia. She goes, I thought there was peace in the Middle East. It's like, no, honey, no. But he doesn't berate her. He just smiles because he knows she's trying. And that's the nice part. She's trying the best she can. Anyway, okay, so let's wrap it up. Joe, you are our guest, and it was your choice. So you get to score it first. Go ahead.
I'm going to go ahead and score it 8. And I know you're probably going to be like, why, Jed? But I just want to point out the Rotten Tomato score for this movie is an 81%, which is pretty high. So there's definitely the people who are rating this is probably a big chunk of nostalgia. But I see it as 8 good family fun. It's fun and dumb. It's nostalgia. It always makes me smile. It always, if I'm in a bad mood or like tired on a plane ride and I'm like, hey, they've got Clueless, why not? I'll watch it. It makes me feel great. So it definitely gets an 8 in my book.
Nothing wrong with a safe place movie. Nothing wrong with a safe place movie. All right, Jed, I'll let you go.
You sure?
0.
Yeah. I want to end on a positive note. So go ahead.
Well, as I always like to make the disclaimer, I do try to separate my feelings at least to a certain extent. If I were doing this on subjective enjoyment, this would be down like a 2 for me. Like, I really despised every second of this film, but I do see points of quality for it. The actors 100% embodied their characters. The aesthetic was very strong, and the fashion, I think, was all done extremely well, and the music fit. Whether or not I got that, I can understand why it has its place. I understand why this is for women. This is not a movie meant for me, but I still believe that the plot issues are so substantial and the lack of character development have a distinct impact on the quality of the writing, if nothing else. So I'd have to give this movie a 5 out of 10.
Well, you know what? Could have been worse.
It could have been worse.
That's much higher than I thought, Jed.
Like Joe, I have a soft spot for this movie. I've always enjoyed it. It's always a fun, dumb fun, good time. I can understand Jed's criticisms. We've made some minor criticisms of my own here and there, but overall, I do always enjoy it. I might not necessarily want to put it on my shelf, but I would always recommend watching it if you just want to have a nice. It's a safe movie. It's a very safe movie. Not going to preach at you. It's just fun. It has a nice happy ending because I love happy endings. So I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10 because it is a nice, easy, enjoyable show. So there you go. It's locked in. And I got a good one for next week because I wanted to. I knew Jed was not going to be indulging himself with deep thoughts on this one. So next week, we're going to have a real mind twister. We're doing The Matrix. The only Matrix movie. There's only one.
The one and only, yeah.
The one and only. So next week, it's The Matrix. And it's time to announce it. It's that time of the year again. Second quarter, which means it's chat choice again, guys. So starting today, leave. Actually, I'm going to post it up in the comment. You can leave it in the comments here, but it's much better if you do it. I'm going to put a post on my community board. Start suggesting your movies. I'm going to give you guys 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks to submit your choices. Then I will hand them off to a third party who has not submitted a choice or going to be a guest, and they will choose their top 4 because YouTube only lets you put 4 choices on the community tab poll. And then you guys will vote in 3 weeks for your choice. So it's that time again, and we can just hope and pray that we don't get punished with something horrible. Anyway, so thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Joe, for being here. Why don't you pimp your wares on the way out the door?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Real Joe Rosie. I play video games, and you can find me on X-Wing 5 every week now on Saturdays. We do XCast, our weekly show talking about politics and pop culture and whatever else is going on in our lives. It's usually a good time, so go check us out over there.
All right. X-Wing is good people. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you all for being here. We will catch you later. Take it easy, everybody. Have a good night wherever you may be.